Hello everyone, welcome to Big Data Thoughts. Today we are going to talk about NoSQL databases. This is something which has been there for a number of years now, and there are specific use cases where NoSQL databases are a very good fit. So today we will talk about what NoSQL databases are or data stores are, what are the salient features, why or when should we use NoSQL data stores, what are the different types of data stores that NoSQL has, and we will also look at the benefits or some of the very specific characteristics that NoSQL data stores have. So let's get started. So what is a NoSQL? A NoSQL is a data store which does not have only SQL, but it also uses programming languages and other constructs to query data. Typically in an RDBMS we have seen that we have a very fixed structure which consists of rows and columns, and that is how RDBMS is constructed. It would have asset properties, it would have transactions, but it had certain limitations. When data started growing, when we started about big data which has volume, velocity, variety, and we also had situations where our schema was not fixed, then a new class of system was needed, which is NoSQL. It is typically a non-relational database which uses a storage model which is more optimized towards specific requirements that we have. It does not have rigidity in terms of how we have to store our data. So we'll see in the further slides there are multiple types of NoSQLs that are there. Based on the use case we have, based on the requirement we have, we can choose amongst them. So in a nutshell, NoSQLs are systems which are not relational in nature. They store data, but they do not force you to store it in a particular row and columnar format. So that's NoSQL. Also, if you want to look at the salient characteristics or features of a NoSQL to understand it better, the first advantage of a NoSQL is being schema free. It does not force you to have fixed number of columns or rows. You can cater to data where you do not know the schema beforehand. So if you have, let's say, 10 rows in your data, one row can have 2 columns, the second can have 10 columns, and so on and so forth. So there is no fixed structure, and it helps you to scale your data horizontally. So for big data type of systems or distributed systems where the need is to store data very differently than how we used to store in the RDBMS world, NoSQL can be one of the very good options for storing data. It is free of joins. So we have looked at different videos on distributed architecture, and I had spoken about this, that in a distributed architecture joins are very costly because the data is distributed across the nodes. Hence NoSQL is also meant to be free of joins. So when we model a NoSQL data store, we keep in mind that it has to be denormalized. It has to be stored in such a way that we do not have to do joins. There are no asset transactions here. So we have to come out of the mindset of a relational data store where we had transactions, asset, properties, and a fixed structure. This is a very different class of data storage where you do not want to have joins. You have no rigidity on schema. There is no asset transaction. We are talking about a distributed setup, and that is why these technologies came up or these concepts came up. So we are talking about a shared nothing commodity computer architecture where the storage and compute can scale independently. They do not share anything, and it's a distributed setup. So your data is distributed. And one more important point is the name says it is NoSQL, but it is not NoSQL. It means not only SQL. It has other programming constructs or paradigms to query your data. When we talk about NoSQL data storage, there is one very important thing that we need to understand, which is known as the CAP theorem. So you would hear this term every time when you talk about NoSQL data store. So there are multiple types of NoSQLs, as I said, and each of them will fall into either CA, CP, or AP. So what does the CAP theorem say? The CAP theorem says that at any point of time, you cannot have all the three, that is consistency, availability, and partitioning. That's the fundamental basis of NoSQL storage. So either you can have consistency partitioning, which is CP, or you can have availability and partitioning, which is AP, or you can have availability and consistency, which is CA. So let us understand what each of these three mean. First of all, consistency. Consistency is simple to understand. We know ACID properties, we have heard about consistency, which means the moment I write something, if I read that data after writing, it will be consistent immediately after writing. So I write a record and I immediately read it, I should get the same result back or a consistent result back. There should not be any discrepancy. RDBMS systems are very strongly consistent. Now, when we see NoSQL databases, we will hear the term eventual consistency. Because the data is distributed, that there are multiple replicas of the data that are there, it takes certain amount of time for us to do a write operation. So here there may not be strict consistency, but we can have eventual consistency, which means that we are okay, or our data is not so critical. We are okay to have a little bit of time lag in writing the data to different replicas. If I give an example, if there are 3 replicas of my data and I'm writing data, it goes to one of the nodes and I immediately read the data back from the other replica, I will get inconsistent results. It will get eventually consistent but not immediately. So there are, for example, if we talk about one of the NoSQL, which is Cassandra, there you have this concept of eventual consistency, where you will see this kind of a lag when reading the data, and you can set the level of consistency that you need. Do you need strict consistency? Do you need eventual consistency? At what level? So that is what consistency means. The second property here is availability. Availability means that whatever data is present in my cluster, if I want to read it, I would be able to do it even though there are some failures or partial node failures. Because as we know, in a distributed environment, failures are a norm. It is expected that some nodes will fail. But we have a replica concept where we are replicating our data on multiple nodes. That's why my system is available at all point of time, because even if some of the nodes fail, there is a very less chance of all replicas failing. So my data would be available at some node or the other. That's availability. Third concept is partitioning, which means that if you have a distributed setup and partially your network or the number of nodes partially fail, then also your system will work as expected. Let's say there is a big cluster of 20 nodes and 10 of the nodes or 5 of the nodes fail. So your network or your cluster is essentially partitioned now. Partition meaning 5 of the nodes have failed and only 10 are working out of the 15 nodes. Still you will be able to continue your operations as expected. So this is known as partitioning or partition tolerance. Now the SCAP theorem states that at any point of time you can never have all the 3 properties there for a particular NoSQL data storage. Any of the NoSQL data storages will have only 2 of these properties. Then when do we use NoSQL data stores? Now this is important to understand. NoSQL data store may not be used for each and every use case. Some places RDBMS is the best fit. Some places NoSQL is the best fit. So what are the cases when we want to use a NoSQL? One, when we want to handle really large data, big data kind of scenarios where you actually have a distributed setup. In that cases, when the data is unrelated or data is rapidly changing, for example, there is time series data. For them, the NoSQL data source are really well suited. When my data is schema agnostic or I want to have flexibility on schema because I do not know what data I am going to receive. One another very important thing is, in an RDBMS, if there are 10 columns and I have value only for 5, rest of the 5 columns will have null. So essentially, when you internally store this data, there is some amount of space that is allocated for your rows and columns to get stored. But in a NoSQL data store, if one row has 2 columns and the other rows has 10, it will only occupy the space that for which you have data. Meaning the first row has 2 columns, you are occupying only that much space. There is no null concept, because you have the flexibility to have varied number of columns in each row. If the second row has 10 columns, it will occupy that much space. So it's schema agnostic. It is very efficient in terms of storage also. Third is when there are applications where performance and availability are more important than strong consistency, then you should go for NoSQL kind of scenarios. It gives horizontal scalability, of course, because it's a distributed setup. It is very good for real-time applications. And one of the important characteristics, as I said, you can model as per your need. There are a variety of NoSQL data stores and they can be used as per the need or requirement we have. Going forward in subsequent videos, I will talk about different types of NoSQL that exist, and we will talk in detail about their architectures, use case, and how do we model data in those kind of scenarios. Okay, now coming on to the types of NoSQL data stores. There are 4 categories in a NoSQL data store world. First is a key value store, something like DynamoDB and Redis. We must have heard about these terms. Redis is a in-memory cache or an in-memory database. So Redis and DynamoDB both are key value stores where you have a key and you have a corresponding value which you can fetch using that key. Then second category is column family store, something like HBase and Cassandra. They have a concept of column family where you group a certain number of columns into a family and you group them according to the usage. If there are certain columns which you use more frequently, then you will group them into a column family. So use cases where you do not access the entire row together, but your queries are always accessing a few columns from the entire row that you have. Column oriented or column family oriented data stores are a good fit. Third is graph store like Neo4j. Graph store is typically used when we want to store relationships and linkage. Then it is more efficient to use a graph store rather than a RDBMS. Then the fourth category is document store, where my data is stored as a document like MongoDB and CouchDB. So these are the primary 4 data stores, and as I said, in subsequent videos we will go into the depth of each and every one of them and what is their architecture, how they internally store data, what use cases should you go for. It's a very like few years back it was a very favorite interview question which people used to ask, or maybe till date we ask, which if there is a certain use case, what kind of NoSQL would you use, whether it should be key value, column family, graph, or document store. So those are the things that we will look at in detail in our coming videos. Now, as I spoke about when to use a NoSQL, there are some primary use cases where we can use NoSQLs. For example, mobile apps, when we want to do real-time analytics, content management, we want to have IoT kind of use cases. We have use cases of storing time series data, personalization, and even in certain cases we want to migrate our database, but we will migrate it to a NoSQL because our use case demands that the data should be flexible in terms of storage. It should be easily scalable. It should be schema agnostic. So in those kind of cases, we will use NoSQLs. One of the examples, as I said, can be a time series, or it can be content management. So this is all about, in a nutshell, what NoSQLs are, where they are used, what are the salient features. I hope this helps you to understand the basic concept of why we want NoSQL systems. Please like, share and subscribe to the channel, and in the upcoming videos we will go into the depth of each of the NoSQL types, data store types, and their specific examples. So thank you very much everyone.